Welcome to the deep dive. We cut through the noise, find the potent insights, the surprising facts, and hopefully just enough humor to keep you hooked. Today, I want to start with a little question for you, our listener. What was the very first, conscious thing you did this morning? Before the phone screen, before coffee, just that one automatic action.
Got it. Because those daily routines, the things we do day in, day out, well, they don't just shape our lives. They're also a gold mine of language, often overlooked, I think.
That's so true. We tend to think of them as mundane, right? Just everyday stuff. But linguistically, they're foundational. It's really the bedrock of how we talk about our lives, how we interact.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack these seemingly simple daily schedules. We're going to dive into two routines, contrasting maybe, but definitely relatable, from waking up right through to going to bed. And doing this, we're going to unlock this fantastic, really practical set of verbs and vocabulary, stuff that can describe almost anyone's day. Think of it like a shortcut, to mastering the language you need for your own life. We've been digging into excerpts from daily routines for English learners. It's a great resource, actually. It breaks down these simple but really useful actions in a structured way. Helps you not just see the words, but grasp them, use them confidently.
I'm actually really excited about this one because it's not just learning lists of words, is it? It's understanding the architecture of our daily stories, like finding the secret code to everyday life. So let's peel back the layers. Let's explore.
Yeah, and it's more than just listing actions. We'll look at why these particular verbs, this structure of a daily routine, why it's so valuable. They're building blocks, They offer insights into grammar, common word pairings, collocations, even those subtle communication bits that go way beyond just ordering a coffee.
Okay, foundation laid. So where does the day really kick off, linguistically speaking? Let's start with the dawn chorus, the very beginning. Our first example is Emily. She usually wakes up around 7:00 a.m. Pretty standard. Her first actions: gets out of bed, goes to the bathroom, brushes her teeth, washes her face. That sequence.
And then there's Paul. He's up even earlier, sometimes 6:30 a.m., an early bird. His routine, very similar. Gets out of bed, bathroom, washes his face, brushes his teeth. Maybe a slightly different order there. But what's interesting here isn't just the sequence, it's the verbs themselves, like wake up.
Ah, right, not just wait.
Exactly, it's a phrasal verb, wake up. These two-part verbs, they're incredibly common in English. Getting those down is a huge step towards sounding more natural.
That's a great point. Get out of bed. Another one, right? Get out of...
Yeah.
But zooming out a bit, what other really simple but super versatile verbs jump out from just these first few morning actions?
Well, go is a big one. Immediately comes to mind, they both go to the bathroom. But go is such a workhorse verb. You don't just go to work or go home. You can go after something, go over details, go for a walk, like Paul does later. It's all about movement purpose. So adaptable. And then make breakfast. We talked about make. You make breakfast, sure, but also make a decision, make plans, make progress.
Right.
Understanding these common pairings, these collocations, it really expands your vocabulary fast.
It's amazing how much mileage you get from just a few core verbs. So after those first steps, it's usually breakfast time, right? The kitchen bustle, Emily, she normally makes her own. Coffee and toast, often, maybe adds fruit. Simple stuff.
Paul, meanwhile, keeps it simple too. He makes tea, has cereal. So again, we see make and then have, another super versatile verb. You have breakfast, but also have a meeting, have a problem, have fun.
Right. Possession, experience, consumption, all wrapped up in have.
Exactly.
Okay, so after breakfast, getting ready, heading out, both Emily and Paul get dressed. If Emily's going to the office, she'll put on her shoes and coat before she leaves the house.
And Paul, similar thing. If he's going in, he'll put on his shoes, maybe a jacket, then leave the house. But he sometimes works from home. So that leaving part changes.
That's a good point.
And put on... There's another classic phrasal verb. You put on clothes, but you also put on a weight, put on a show, put on a kettle. Those little words change everything.
Okay, let's unpack this morning blast then. We've got wake up, get out of bed, go to the bathroom, brush teeth, wash face, make breakfast, have breakfast, get dressed, put on shoes, put on a coat, leave the house, go to work. Phew. What's like a common trap learners fall into with these basic routine verbs?
Oh, good question. One big trap is thinking each phrase is totally fixed, rigid. But like we saw with go or make, they're flexible. The key is seeing the core meaning of the verb and how different words around it change the context, not the basic action.
Right.
Another trap. Underestimating the present simple tense for routines seems easy, right? But it's crucial for habits. It's not just what you do, it's that you do it regularly. That's the routine part.
That makes total sense. Recognizing the patterns, the habit. Okay, let's march into midday. productivity time. Emily's office day sounds pretty familiar. Usually sits at her desk, works on her computer, answering emails, writing reports, meetings with colleagues too.
And Paul, whether he's at home or in the office, a lot of the same core actions. He also sits at his desk, uses his computer. Maybe he writes articles or prepares lessons. He often has online meetings. It really shows how much work now revolves around screens, doesn't it? Regardless of location.
It really does. And then that essential midday break,
Mhm.
lunch. Paul often has a sandwich or a salad, something quick and light.
Emily might bring her lunch from home, practical, or she goes out to eat. Different approaches. And after that, both typically go back to work, back to the tasks. This bit introduces verbs not just of doing, but of focusing, collaborating.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Because these activities, they cut across so many jobs, office, home, whatever. We're looking at verbs like sit at my desk, work on my computer, answer emails, write reports, have meetings, write articles, prepare lessons, have lunch, go back to work. How do these verbs kind of transcend just the work context? What's the key takeaway?
Well, the key insight, I think, is that these describe categories of action that apply way beyond a 9-to-5 job. Sit at my desk could easily be sit down to study, or sit to paint, or even just sit to think.
Mm,
Work on my computer covers almost any digital task, right? Paying bills, learning online, gaming, and have meetings. That's any structured discussion. Planning a trip with family, working on a project with friends. It's not just corporate speak.
I see.
They represent focus, interaction, getting tasks done,
Hmm.
which are pretty universal human things.
That really broadens the scope. It's not just work vocabulary, it's activity vocabulary. Focused activity. All right, so as the day winds down, the focus shifts again. Both Emily and Paul go home after work. That crucial transition, personal time starts.
Then comes the mix of relaxation and chores, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Paul sometimes relaxes on the sofa, maybe watches TV, also cooks dinner, enjoys pasta or soup. Simple stuff. Evenings, he might go for a walk or listen to relaxing music. Verbs of unwinding, self-care.
Emily also enjoys cooking dinner. Sometimes she tries new recipes, sounds more adventurous than my routine. After dinner, she often washes the dishes. The less fun part, maybe, but necessary.
Someone has to.
Right. Then she might read a book or talk to her family or friends. Lots of verbs here about connecting, relaxing.
Absolutely. And then the final stretch. The nighttime rituals. Both Emily and Paul brush their teeth again. Important step before going to bed.
Paul aims for bed around 10:30 or 11:00.
Well, Emily. She usually goes to bed a bit later, maybe 11:30 p.m. Shows how personal the end of the day can be, even with similar actions.
So, thinking about this evening phase, the balance between chilling out, doing chores, connecting with people, what verbs really dominate here? And what does that tell us about maybe human needs?
Yeah, that raises a really important point. Eating routines, they feel very personal, but they still use these fundamental verbs. Verbs for scare, for social connection, for leisure. We cook dinner to nourish ourselves. We wash the dishes to maintain order. We relax on the sofa or watch TV to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to family or friends. That clearly highlights our social need, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even listening to music. It's a verb for passive enjoyment, restoration. These verbs are all about replenishing, maintaining our space, connecting. Essential human stuff. And notice that small difference. Go to bed is the action, getting in bed. Sleep is the state. Knowing those little distinctions adds precision.
It does. Wow, this has been a really fantastic deep dive into the everyday. So, just to quickly recap the whole journey, we started with waking up, getting ready, moved into the workday, whether out or at home, hit lunch and productivity, then the transition home, relaxing, dinner, and finally winding down for bed. The whole arc.
And the sheer number and usefulness of the verbs we've touched on is pretty amazing when you lay it all out. It's like an essential toolkit for describing daily life. We talked about waking up, getting out of bed, self-care, like brushing teeth, washing face, prep of like making breakfast, consuming with having breakfast, then getting dressed, putting on shoes, putting on a coat, leaving the house, going to work, so much movement.
Right. And then the midday focus, sitting at a desk, working on a computer, answering emails, writing reports, having meetings, writing articles, preparing lessons, plus having lunch and going back to work.
And wrapping up with the evening. Going home, relaxing, watching TV, cooking dinner, washing the dishes, reading a book, talking to family or friends, going for a walk, listening to music. And the final step, going to bed. These aren't just random words. They're the verbs that structure our days. And now you, the listener, have that language.
And that's the key part, connecting it to you. We really hope you'll actively use these phrases. Don't just let them sit there. Challenge yourself. Think. What do you do all day? Try describing your own routine. Maybe even narrate your morning tomorrow as you do it. Use these verbs.
Yeah, and a great way to make it stick. Write it down. Seriously, just writing out your routine helps cement the vocabulary. Notice which verbs feel natural, which ones you maybe didn't use before.
Absolutely. And please don't stress about getting every single word perfect right away. That's not the goal. It's about progress. Try your best. Be patient. Celebrate the small wins. You're building a really fundamental language skill here. It gets stronger each time you use it.
Definitely. You've now got a solid framework, specific words to talk about a huge chunk of your life and understand others better too. It's incredibly valuable, something you'll use constantly.
So, here's a final thought to chew on. How much of your day is conscious choice versus just habit? And now that you have this linguistic toolkit, how would you describe your ideal day? Using these verbs we explored, what's one verb you might consciously add to your routine? Or maybe one you'd remove? How would you phrase that? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into daily routines. We'll catch you next time.